Welcome back, everybody. In today's video, I'm going to be doing my game pick slash doing a little bit of a short preview for each game of week 2 of the CFL season. If you enjoy content like this, be sure to leave a like and leave a comment down below. It really helps me out. Also subscribe to Dazzy's Huddle for more CFL content just like this. With that said, let's get into today's game picks. It didn't exactly go very well with the game picks last week. We went 1-3 and just a rough start for us, but you know, we're still feel pretty confident going forward. I still saw a lot of the same things that I saw in my analysis, so we're gonna kind of pick a lot of bounce backs this week, as you'll see in my prediction. So I think we have 4 really great games this week. You can see a lot of these matchups go either way. It's definitely a hard weekend to bet on the CFL in my opinion. So we'll start with Thursday, BC at Calgary, 9:30 Eastern Time kickoff. It looks like Nathan Rourke, the Canadian quarterback, is going to be making his 2nd consecutive start for the Lions because of the injury to Mike Riley. And full disclosure, in this one I'll be cheering for BC. I just want a Canadian quarterback to succeed in this league so bad. I made a video about it a few months ago. But honestly, my pick here is Calgary. I think they'll win this one. I didn't think the Stamps played all that bad versus Toronto. I think they just made a few crucial mistakes in key spots. And game planning against a rookie quarterback might give the Stamps a huge advantage here, I think, with a really veteran coaching staff that they have there in place. BC with a really tough draw here, having to go to 2 of the hardest environments in the CFL the first couple weeks, first going to Saskatchewan and now here to Calgary. One huge positive development for Calgary in week 1 was that Kamar Jordan, one of their star wide receivers, who was coming off a major injury, looked very healthy, and he quickly reestablished that chemistry with Bo Levi Mitchell. Really good to see that for Calgary. But again, I just think Calgary bounces back in this game, and it's just a really hard spot for BC to win. On to the second game. It's going to be Toronto at Winnipeg on Friday night at 8:30 Eastern Time kickoff. A great matchup here between the defending champs and the up-and-coming Toronto Argos that are coming off a huge win versus Calgary. The key matchup I want to see in this one is the dominant Blue Bombers offensive line versus the Toronto defensive line that is filled with a bunch of huge offseason additions, highlighted by Charleston Hughes and former first-round pick in the NFL, Shane Ray. On the other side of the ball, Toronto's wide receivers might have an edge versus a Winnipeg defensive back room that has a few inexperienced faces. That is, if Toronto can manage to block Willie Jefferson and company on that defensive line. Ultimately, I trust Winnipeg and what they have going on. Great coaching staff, just a really well-rounded roster. Zach Collaros playing great, and I think they have the edge over Toronto here. But if I was betting spread, I might pick Toronto to keep it close. Now on Saturday night at 7 p.m., the first leg of a doubleheader, Montreal traveling to Edmonton. This is personally the game I'm looking forward to the most this week. We get to see the most exciting player in the CFL, in my opinion, Vernon Adams Jr., making his season debut against the team that got the better out of him in the 2019 playoffs in Edmonton. What can you say about the Elks? They had a dreadful season debut against Ottawa, and they very much need a bounce back this week versus the Alouettes, especially Trevor Harris, the quarterback. But the good news for Edmonton is that in recent years, Harris has really liked playing against Montreal, including that 2019 playoff game, and it could be just what he needs to bounce back. With that said, though, Montreal's big offseason signing, Almondo Sewell, will be facing the team he spent his entire 9-year CFL career with in Edmonton, and I think that might give Montreal an emotional edge in this game to overcome the talent disadvantage I see on paper between Edmonton and Montreal, and I think Montreal could pull it off in that sense. But let's just say I wouldn't feel very confident betting on this game. Ultimately, I'm going to ride with Edmonton for another week. They were my preseason prediction to win the Grey Cup, and I still have a lot of faith in them. I think they just made a lot of dumb errors in week 1, and I think ultimately they'll squeak out a really close game here against Montreal in week 2 and get that bounce back game from Trevor Harris. Now the final game of week 2 is Saturday night, 10 p.m. Eastern, Hamilton at Saskatchewan. The finale of week 2 is a doozy with the preseason Grey Cup favorite Tiger Cats looking to avoid starting 0-2, traveling to take on the Saskatchewan Roughriders. I would say that both teams didn't play their best in week 1, even though the Riders are coming off the win. I'll be watching the quarterbacks with a careful eye in this one. Do we get a good Jeremiah Mazzoli, the one that can complete 20 passes in a row, is aggressive throwing the ball down the field and makes the right decisions? Or are we going to get the guy we saw against Winnipeg, who was really good for the first scripted set of plays, but then once the defense adjusted, he just really struggled and had really spotty accuracy. We'll have to see. And then on the other side, you have Cody Fajardo. Likewise, can he stay consistent throughout the whole game as the defense shifts its scheme? So I'm really fascinated to watch the quarterbacks in this one. But I will say this, as a Tiger Cats fan, they don't typically fare too well against Saskatchewan, especially when they play in Mosaic. Just so many bad performances there for the Tiger Cats throughout the years. That combined with the fact that the Tiger Cats might be missing crucial pieces again to injury, including almost certainly Braylon Addison, the receiver. I gotta go with Fajardo and the Rough Riders in this one. But that concludes my predictions for week 2. Be sure to let me know your picks down in the comments below. Who's going to win this week? You can also leave a like. It really helps me out a ton and I really appreciate it. And with that said, enjoy week 2, everybody. Peace.